Bernard Shaw is once quoted as saying, "The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place." So today I'm going to be talking to you about some software called Slack, which is a real-time chat platform. It's been taking the business world and increasingly the academic world by storm over the last 12 months or so, with some pundits claiming that it might even replace email one day. Which I don't quite believe to be true, but it's an important tool, and I'd like to spend my 5 minutes just introducing you to it. So here's the Slack interface, and I've set this up as a dummy site for our school administration to test over our long summer break coming up shortly. On the left-hand side, what you'll see with this chat software is a series of channels, and we have channels, direct messages, and private groups, and I'd just like to explain each of those quickly first of all. So you can set channels up a bit like a chat room, and for whatever organization you work for, you'd build those channels around relevant topics. So hypothetically, if this was being used at school, it's likely we'd have this elementary channel here for elementary school, and then we have our middle school down here, and I haven't done the high school room yet. But as well as that, you can also have temporary rooms, temporary channels. So we had a recent high school trip to France. So hypothetically, they would have their own channel where they can communicate also with parents if you want to bring them in on the communication device for that season. And then also one of the most annoying things I find at school is I get a lot of spam every day from my great friends at school, often telling me whether they're walking down the corridor or if they want to sell something, and so something like a marketplace or general chit chat would enable the faculty members, or if you're in business, the business workers, to choose whether they want that information or whether they'd like to avoid it. So anyone can chat, anyone can join any chat room at any time and leave a chat room if they like. And then moving down here, we have direct messages. So this is very much like sending an email directly to an individual. And it's a conversation between you and them. So here's Frankie, who's our high school principal. And if I wanted to write a message directly to Frankie, I would simply come down here at the bottom of the news feed, and I would say, "Hi Frankie, how are you doing today?" Question mark. I press the enter key, and if I jumped across to Frankie's iPad here, what you'll notice is my name Rory is up here at the top in bold. And if I click on there, I can then see the message that I just sent from my laptop to Frankie. So jumping back to my interface, that's direct messages. So everyone who's on the chat platform would have their name appear here. And then we have private rooms at the bottom. And private rooms are basically rooms that are set up where the person who sets the room up decides who's going to be in that room. So our administration team, for example, would just have our principals and our director involved in that room, and no one else in the organization, in the school, would be able to see this conversation or any of these conversations happening here. So it would be a private conversation between them. In fact, we wouldn't even know that room existed. And again, like that, we'd probably have one for the board administration to communicate amongst themselves. And then various project teams, if the information was sensitive, particularly thinking of HR, it's likely they'd create their channels around here. So I'm going to pause there, and I'm going to ask you the first question, which is what is the difference between a channel, direct messages, and private groups? I'm going to leave it as an open question for you to quickly answer. Right. I'm sure you got that right. Rewind the video if you'd like to go back and see what the answer is. Otherwise, let's bash on. So I've mentioned briefly, this is where we write our messages, which is the news feed. So in the newsfeed, if I wanted to sell something, I'd go to the marketplace and I'd say, "Hey guys, I am tired of my iPhone 5 and I would like to take a mortgage out and buy an iPhone 6 Plus so everyone knows how rich I am." There we go. A little bit of sarcasm in there to keep you going on the video. But I would write that message there in the marketplace. If I jump over to Frankie's machine, he would then see, oh, marketplace, it's gone bold. And he would click on there. If I jump on the right device, he would click on there. And there we go. You can see the message I just sent. And then Frankie might write something like, hi, Rory. I would like it. I would like to buy it. Now, he could choose to write back there so everyone else knows that he's been the first to reply. You notice here the message just popped up for me to know that it's arrived. I can then look and say, oh, Frankie's bought it. Or Frankie could have chosen instead, if I jump back to him, he could have chosen a direct message to me, and in the direct message then written the same message for me to pick up. So that's the direct information between the two of us. In brief, that is it. It's also good to say that there's a lot of things you can integrate with Slack. You can bring information in from Twitter, from MailChimp. If you have school information systems, if you're in the academic world, you can also have triggers that let individuals know what's happening on those various systems. And you can use things called webhooks, which I won't bore you with, but basically any bit of information that travels across the internet can be pulled into the interface. So there's tremendous power to the software. I hope you've learnt something new. And as a final open question, in fact, no, I won't make an open question. I'm going to make a yes or no. I'd like you to choose whether you're going to go and have a look at it at www.slack.com and just say yes or no thanks. I look forward to continuing to chatting with you guys on the forums on this awesome Coursera course. Thanks. Good night.